Lovely. Good afternoon, Virtual Village Hall. Back again for another meditation session. And we'll just give it a little bit of time to allow everybody to join today, whoever's joining the session. So as and when you join, drop a comment, let us know, just say hello, I guess. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If you've practiced meditation or anything with us before. So we've done, over the years, we've done a lot of practices together here, relaxation and meditation and breath work, actually. So yeah, we've done quite a few things. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, actually, which I will explain in a moment. But yeah, and we'll just give it a little bit of time for people to tune in. So let us know where you are, how the weather is. Currently here in Tadley, it's a little bit sunny, mostly cloudy. You'd think it would be colder, but it's not too bad actually. So pretty happy with that. I'm definitely not a fan of the cold weather personally. I am definitely more of I need to be in the sun, Stick me in 30 degrees Celsius and that's me happy. When it comes to autumn and winter, I literally throw on the thickest jackets that I have and they basically don't come off until it's warm again. And I'm not fussed about my outfit. I just want to be warm. So, yes, I'm just trying to get myself up on my other screen so I can see that the stream is happening, but I can't actually see myself at the moment. So yeah, do leave a comment if you're watching, because Irene, hello, welcome. So obviously you're watching on YouTube. Just wonder if anybody else is seeing me on Facebook. If anybody's watching on Facebook, if you could just leave a comment, because I'm not seeing myself on the screen. But Irene, nice to see you again. Welcome back. Oh, okay. Facebook has just been sorted out. Right. Let us try again. Try again. There we are. Okay, now I'm on Facebook. Super. Try again. Oh, don't want to be listening to myself. There we go. Super. Okay. So, good afternoon, Virtual Village Hall. Again, we'll just give it a little bit of time to allow people to join the live stream. Lisa says I am visible, so that's good. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the update, because I think we experienced a moment of technical difficulties there. It does happen, but we are moving forwards now. So, as I was just saying, over the years, done many meditations, relaxations, breath works, done all forms of practices that obviously are all still available on the Virtual Village Hall sort of database, on the YouTube, all this kind of stuff. But today, so back in January 2021, I self-published a book. You Don't Want to Know How to Meditate, Why It's Worth Not Knowing Anything. And then you can see that's my name on the bottom. So coming up to having published this for 5 years now. And basically I started doing this during the lockdowns. During the lockdowns, obviously I was aware that people were struggling with mental health and things of that nature. And so I wanted to make a quick little guide, a little, one single piece of paper that explained meditation so that people could just start practicing themselves. That was the idea. I then sat down and it just just kept writing. I realized that I had a book, and it became a little bit of a lockdown project for me, basically. So yeah, 2020 took me about a year to write and edit and go back and forwards and make sure it was as good as it could be, and then published it on 25th of January 2021. And so yeah, I'm going to be reading from this today, actually, because I have not read this since I wrote it. So actually, I don't really remember what's in this book. So we're going to sort of rediscover it together. And my idea, my aim for this, maybe get a few more copies sold for Christmas, but also just to kind of maybe edit it, maybe update it, because when I wrote this book, that was 5 years ago, and so much has happened in the last 5 years that I've changed my approach to some things and better understood other things, and just learned more. And so it would be nice to kind of share that with you, kind of read through the book, but also add in anything else that could be added into the book, maybe into a future edition. Anyway, so I think everyone that's going to be tuning in will be here by now. So we'll get going. And obviously, if you are tuning in at a later point, please drop a comment, say hello. They're always nice to come back to and have a read. So, right, first of all, the first page is a little dedication. It says, "This is dedicated to you. To those of you I have already met, thank you for teaching me so much. If I am yet to meet you, thank you for what you will teach me." So again, I've had a good 5 years of meeting new people since this book. I have learned a lot more, that's for sure. Right, so we'll start with the introduction, and we'll probably make it as far as maybe through chapter 1. We'll see. Anyway, so you don't want to know how to meditate. All you can do is figure it out as you go along. The choice to sit down and do nothing turns out to be harder than most would imagine. There is always so many other things that we would rather be doing, and with the world offering us so much, why would we want to sit and do nothing at all? Fortunately, it is quite impossible to literally do nothing, for there is always something happening. We have just become used to not paying it any attention. Meditation allows us to tune in to what is happening in this present moment and discover there is plenty enough going on for us to focus our attention on. We are born into this life, and rarely do we stop for a moment and give some thought to what this whole life business even is. Like a wind-up toy you would find in a Christmas cracker, as soon as we have exploded onto the scene, we get going. We spend the beginning portion of this experience figuring out how to use some strange vehicle that we refer to as a body, exploring what each sensation means to us and to those around us. And then before we realize it, we are so wrapped up in our lives that we get swept away with all of its goings-on until the years pass and we look back wondering where it all went. Like a wind-up toy, we need a lot of attention initially to ensure we don't head right off the edge of the table. But we can only be looked after for so long before we have to navigate ourselves along the path and through the obstacles that life may present us. What if you are headed for a fall and you don't see it? What if there is a dead end ahead? Maybe you're already at this end, and no matter how hard you keep trying to push on, you aren't getting anywhere. One thing we may not have had the option to learn was how to stop and be in stillness. A skill that allows us to see that we have the time to walk a path that we choose with every step. Learning to meditate gives us the ability to slow down, take a moment, and choose the next step. It gives us the time to see our options. Life is like a hike in the woods, not a sprint on the racetrack. We need to pace ourselves and set out a clear route through the unknown, to see the checkpoints ahead and give us a clear direction to aim for. Consistency and a relaxed discipline will always lead to outcome. Whether it is the outcome that you aimed for or not, there will always be a care package waiting ahead. Your persistence will always prove fruitful. What can meditation do for you? Honestly, meditation can do whatever you want it to. More peace, better sleep, less frustration. Whatever you think of, meditation will aid you in your pursuit. Sounds a bit implausible, I know, but hear me out. Can you do anything without your mind? There may be mindless activities in our lives, but whatever we do, our mind is always involved. Meditation guides us towards discovering our minds, to be aware of what is going on inside of it, and choose how we use the information we find passing through. Our practice allows us to create space between us and our thoughts, and the ability to let go of the ones that no longer benefit us. We like to think we know our minds. It is ours after all. Yet to know something is not to understand it. To know something is like having all the answers to the theory of a driving exam, but never having sat in the driver's seat, whereas to understand is to have the ability to do a handbrake turn straight into your garage. Can you say that everything you think about is to your benefit? Do you always speak kindly to yourself and to others? Can you say you have never looked back on a choice or an action that you took and in hindsight realized there was a better way of handling that situation? There will always be moments where we slipped up from being the best versions of ourselves, but accepting we are not perfect all the time is an important pill to swallow. One that may have been the reason you decided to learn how to meditate in the first place. The foolish think themselves to be the wise, but the wisest know themselves to be the fool. You can read all the essays, books, and articles in the world on meditation, but until you sit down and practice, you will never be able to truly understand. Not everything is to be known. We can know many things and spout off many bits of information, but this is simply the regurgitation of information, and all it really indicates is a great ability to remember. Much like the smelling of a rose, meditation cannot be known. You can only experience it. I've written this book to share what I've come to understand over the years of training and practicing, to offer to you the exercises that led me to insights that enabled me to direct my life towards a life where I was in the driver's seat. So if you have any questions or anything, by all means, leave a message in the comments. But perhaps some of you tuning in aren't aware of my story. And it is November is sort of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, which I wasn't actually aware of. But when I was younger, when I was in my last teenage years, I became very mentally unwell. I was told I had depression, obviously then being heavily medicated. But that led me to I ended up homeless. I was living in my car. And then I developed a severe mental delusion called Cotard's delusion. And this delusion, it comes in a few different forms, but my form, I believed that my life was a dream and that my real body was dying in a car crash. And so I didn't think this was real. I literally thought this was the last minutes of brain activity in the real dying corpse of my body, right? And so that was the state, that's the position I was in. And it really was through a lot of good luck, good fortune, I would say, but also by that good luck, good fortune is what led to me finding meditation. And it was meditation that began my process of fixing my mind, of being better and taking care of myself. And quite literally, as I say here, getting back in the driver's seat because my life was out of control. And it's interesting now coming back to this all these years later, because I've honestly, now bearing in mind, that was my life however many years ago. I'm 32 now. I can honestly say this last year has been the worst year of my life. And I feel like the last 16 years since I found meditation and I've taken this journey of healing and understanding myself and being aware and paying attention, the last 16 years have been practicing, has been my training so I could survive this last year, because I don't think I would have, if I'd had the year I had just now when I was younger, I would have been in a worse off state. So coming back to, in a way, I've come back to the beginning and I'm appreciating again, just how powerful meditation is, how it's such a simple, accessible tool, but the ability to sit down and just tune into yourself and really create space between, your feelings, your thoughts, your outside life, to be able to create that space between yourself and just be the observer. That really is what meditation is about. It's about observing your whole experience and choosing, not allowing your feelings and your thoughts and your experience to whisk you away, to pull you into the chaos that life can be sometimes. Meditation allows you to find that everlasting, ever-present stillness that will always be there, whatever storm is going on around you. So, right, next part of the book. So here I mention a few sort of common misconceptions about meditation. And so the first one is something I've heard for many, many years, ever since I started my training and started teaching and all this kind of stuff. So the first common misconception: I don't think I can meditate. So, were you able to read the first time you picked up a book? Were you able to spell your name the first time you picked up a pen? Reading and writing is a skill, just like meditation. There may be those fortunate few who manage to be more inclined to the ability than others, but even for them, there will still be forms of meditation that requires practice before it is perfected and understood. There was a time you could not do half of the things that you do now, yet now you can, and they require no effort as that skill has become natural to you. So it is with meditation. In time, with a regular commitment and practice, it will be as effortless as reading these words. So next misconception: meditation is just sitting and doing nothing. When you sit and meditate, on the outside it may seem as though you are doing nothing, but the act of drawing our focus inwards allows us to become aware that there is much more happening, more than we can be fully aware of at the same time. Every part of you is having its own experience. Different physical sensations can be found all over the body, and the body is only the top layer of our experience. When you start to delve deeper inside, then you realize it's not only ogres that are like onions. Even when you think you have managed to peel back the last layer, there is always another. One thing you will never be able to do is nothing. I'm not able to sit for that long. It does not matter the length of time that you can sit and meditate. To have the tendency to time our meditations only leads to competition, competing against ourselves and against others. This also leads us to thinking that the point of meditation is to get it done. The point of meditation is to simply be. The perception of time, especially as a mode of measurement, is a constraint to the freedom of the self. You cannot find stillness of the mind in the constant counting of life. You cannot be told how to meditate. Language is incapable of explaining many things, and one of those things is meditation. If I sit here and try to write out my experience with meditation, then you will go in search of that same experience. Rather than chasing the counting of time, you will be chasing the meaning of words. What if you interpret my words differently than I had intended? What if my perception of happiness or sadness or stillness is different to yours? You will be sitting, meditating, every time waiting for that thing you once read about, and it will never come. You will start to think that you cannot meditate. A carrot on a string will lead you in circles, as we are not looking for something ahead of us, but looking at the experience we are having in the immediate present. Meditation is a lot like sleeping. I can tell you all the tips and techniques to help you prepare to go to sleep, but the actual falling asleep part is up to you. With meditation, I can tell you all the tips and techniques to get prepared to meditate, but the actual meditation part is something only you can manage to find yourself in. You will not always be comfortable. It is not going to be easy. As you use your body and mind in ways like never before, discomfort will arise. I warn all who do my meditation course that this path is not always a walk in the park. Every course or retreat that I have attended for meditative practices has always had a percentage of people dropping out, those that choose to walk away rather than seeing it through to the end. I have been close to throwing in the towel many times myself. Even lying flat on your back on the floor can be a struggle for some initially. Do not allow this to dissuade you from persisting. It is a part of the process. It is natural to seek a passive life. Our first 9 months before we were even born, we had everything we needed. Yet we decided eventually that it is time to join the world. For a time, we must have everything done for us until one day we become aware of what we are capable of, and off we go, encountering new challenges and directions of growth. You have already done it so many times before. This is a comforting idea when it is time to do it again. So you are not aiming to control your mind. Rather, we are teaching ourselves to work with it. To control something is to restrict it, to have it conform to a way in which we want it to, which means suppression of how it is. Suppression of this kind leads to the destruction of the expression, and we must always express ourselves to live in honesty. Working with our mind rather than controlling it is like learning to dance with our partner. Rather than forcing a pace that leads to you both falling over each other's feet, you need to figure out what style you can both dance to. When beginning your meditation practice, as you look to focus your concentration, you may find the slightest of external disturbances will distract you. In terms of evolution, this distractedness as part of our flight or flight instinct has been a necessary requirement to survival, and without it, it is unlikely we would have made it this far. Take humankind back a few millennia. If you are foraging in the bushes and you hear a movement rustling where you cannot see it, you need to react without wasting time to think if the sound is a threat to life or not. In those lives, the environment was a dangerous place, full of unknowns that could not be predicted or controlled. But over the generations of many, we have shaped our environment to be almost devoid of any threat at all. Yet the mechanism remains. We have made our outer world safe, and now is the time to secure the inner world. This archaic program that is a part of our operating system is still looking out for threats to be wary of. And rather than just identifying the dangers to our lives, it now recognizes dangers to who we believe we are. It is our attachment to the idea of ourself that confuses our nervous system into perceiving psychological threat as a genuine life threat. Okay, so that's the introduction. So coming on to chapter 1, we come to learn how to actually relax. Time to chill. So think of a time you have lain on the floor flat on your back, belly to the sky. Probably haven't, right? If you have, raise your hand. Put your hand down if you have done this more than 20 minutes. Put your hand down if you have done this more than 45 minutes. Hands down for more than 60. Are there any hands left up? The only time we ever allow ourselves to lay down is on a bed or a sofa, often not flat on our backs, but numerous other body shapes with pillows and cushions, etc., making us less like a straight line and more like a squiggly wiggle. Lying flat on your back is the only way that your spine is totally supported and your body can completely relax. Your spine is the house to the central nervous system, the main hub of all you are, with the brain stuck up at the top. If your brain was a computer screen, then your central nervous system is your computer's remaining hardware. The energy for the function of all we do passes through this central hub, and so any misalignment in the spine causes kinks and pressures on the pathways of the energy moving through you. Any pressure or tension on the spine, on all that we are, causes an alertness and reactive state in the body, keeping us awake, and the body never fully drops into a true relaxation and repair state. Your central nervous system comprises of two energies, your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic part is the conscious decision energy, the part that works with you to move your body and consists of what you choose to do. The parasympathetic regions are to do with your unconscious goings-on, such as the functioning of your organs and the repairings of your body. There are areas where these two energies can overlap, such as your blinking or breathing, but however, we can only interrupt these for a short period of time before the necessity of the functioning of this parasympathetic behavior overpowers our conscious action. Our first practice is a relaxation. So this exercise works with the parasympathetic areas of the spine, as when we lay on our backs, the sympathetic area is not engaged. Therefore, we can sleep better lying down instead of sitting up. So this part of the book, we go into the relaxation practice, a practice we've done many, many times here on the virtual village hall. So I won't go into that now just because it's quite a long practice. But if you go back onto the virtual village hall on the YouTube and where all the videos are kept, you will be able to find this practice. Otherwise, in the book or on my YouTube, it's many places you'll be able to find this relaxation practice if you'd like to give it a go again. So we've done the practice. Something you may experience at some point in this relaxation is, as you lay on the floor for a while, suddenly you may find yourself twitching or spasming. The intensity can range from quite small to a whole limb flinging itself randomly. Do not be alarmed at this. It is quite natural and simply a releasing of tension. This practice is all about releasing and letting go, requiring very little from you except to allow whatever comes to happen without interruption. There is no what should be happening, nothing to look for, just a resting in awareness of what is. For some of us, this practice can present discomfort in many forms. Aching or emotions may present themselves. This is good. Allow them to be there. Aim not to dismiss them, to not label them as undesirable or bad, as may be the initial reaction. To interrupt the process will not take you away from this discomfort. It will only serve as a distraction. What you wish to get away from is yourself. We cannot escape these things. We either let them go or carry them with us wherever we go. Observe these experiences in the same way as any other sensation in your body. Guide your focus over these things without thinking on them. If you cannot, do not worry. This will become easier as you practice and settle deeper into the space between you and your thoughts. As you treat your body to better rest, in time you'll be less likely to fall asleep during this relaxation. And so you may find that as you practice this in the future, you remain awake and aware for longer. The longer you practice, the more likely your mind is to wander. So as much as possible, remember to catch yourself and come back to resting your focus inside the body. Whatever the case may be, never think on what you should or could be doing. Do not have an aim with your practice. Just allow whatever happens to happen. Give up control. So that is chapter 1. Probably got time for some of chapter 2. And then I think that is all we will manage today. So chapter 2 is about harnessing your concentration. Let's get focused. Your focus is omnipresent, observing you through the day and night, watching your waking life, watching your dreams. It never sleeps. We can direct/harness this focus, deciding what we guide it towards as each unique experience unfolds around us. But just like any tool, if we do not maintain and take care of our focus, then it can become less effective and harder to use. Do you ever find yourself becoming distracted? That your focus seems to drift to something other than what you were doing now? How often are you fully concentrated on the task at hand? Your body may be in the shower, but your mind is in the conversation you had with your partner earlier. Your body may be eating or drinking, but your mind is considering if you want to commit to that thing you said you would do this weekend. Harnessing your concentration is a full-time practice, always checking in with whatever you are doing, that all of your attention is to your immediate experience. There is always time to think on things, but make sure that you are thinking on the things that you wish to think on. I have been asked in the past whether spacing out and the mind wandering is meditation, but this is absent mindism, which is, if anything, the complete opposite of what we aim to achieve in our practice. In these moments, our mind has taken over control completely and is lost in whatever it is thinking about. until you snap back and you cannot even remember what it was you were thinking about to begin with. To be present is to be aware of where we are, both physically and mentally. How often are you thinking of things that end up hurting you? If we are not fully paying attention, then a train of thought can suddenly come hurtling through the station, taking you away with it. Think of your friend who is the longest possible drive from you. You plot the route and aim for the quickest option available. We may set off with the intention of traveling from A to B, but not every task is so easy to complete. Sometimes it's like we want to go to that friend's house, but stop by every other friend along the way. Some may think, well, no, it would be more the fact that every road is a dead end or diverted traffic. And although on occasion this may seem true, the ultimate truth is that you are choosing to get distracted and allowing your mind to wander. Getting to your furthest friend is an impossible task for one day, and so you go back home. Giving up is just that easy. Have you ever thought on what concentration is? The idea of concentrating is as if it were a constant fixation of attention, like the light of a bulb shining down on the object of focus. It is also seen as something to be used and then used up, as if concentration were like a battery, a small reserve of energy. If this were true, then how have you made it to this word you are reading this very moment? If concentration were the fixation of attention, you would never have made it past the first word or even the first letter. Concentration is the constant refocusing of your attention, the constant reapplication of your attention, such as reading the letters of a word and the words of this sentence. Okay, I think that is all we have time for today. So let me know if you enjoyed this. I can in the months ahead, when I come back to Virtual Village Hall, I can continue reading this book. Obviously, if you can't wait until then, by all means, please buy a copy. It's available on Amazon, and the link is in the comments. But yeah, if you'd much rather we return to the regular, doing a practice here on the Virtual Village Hall, then please let me know. I'm here for you. I'm here for whatever it is that you would like me to be doing. So please do give some feedback. But otherwise, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you're tuning in later, again, let us know. It's always good to come back and read the comments. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next month.